The Elephas maximus, also called Asian elephant, is a species that is and was widely distributed in West Asia along the Iranian coast into the Indian subcontinent. This species, though, still survives in a range within South and Southeast Asia, but has still been in retreat for a long time. This species usually survives within the highly fragmented populations, and Asian elephants are considered generalists since they find a variety of biomes suitable for their living. They occur in grassland and forests such as tropical evergreen, semi-evergreen, moist deciduous, dry thorn, cultivated and secondary forests and scrublands. The Asian elephant is one of the last few megaherbivores, this meaning plant-eating mammals that reach an adult body weight in excess of 1,000 kilograms. They are an extremely large primary consumer, and currently the Asian elephant population ranges from 40,000 to 50,000, and they are still considered an endangered species. The Asian elephant is listed on the endangered list given that its population size has decreased about 50% over the last 3 generations. This happened mainly due to an area reduction. The issue with this kicked in when this reduction affected the quality of life of the elephants, causing for further decreasing numbers. A fast rate of change in population and habitat is what's keeping the Asian elephant as an endangered species with smaller numbers every time. According to San Diego Zoo Global, elephants can have 1 or up to 2 babies at once, but their gestation period is of 22 months. Given the long reproduction time, elephants have a low reproduction rate, which is something that can be attributed to their biological factors. In the wild, these elephants live between 60 to 70 years, and males' age of sexual maturity is 14 to 15 years, while women's is of 15 to 16. This means that elephants would only be allowed to have a maximum of about 6 babies in their lifetime. Unlike other animals, the Asian elephant, as mentioned in the beginning, is only found in a couple countries in the world, specifically in some continents, this meaning that their distribution is small. This can be a problem since if the species becomes affected in a specific area, they are more vulnerable to changing numbers. Given that they move around in herds, a problem they face is when coming in contact with human civilizations. If problems arise between both these communities, more elephants are prone to injuries and even death. External pressures, such as external threats, are a major factor within the Asian elephant population. In the case of the Asian elephant, the majority of its external pressures arise from a result of human population. We have managed to incite habitat loss, degradation, and even fragmentation, which have affected the species' quality of life. An increase in human population leads to expansion of land, and this arises conflict when a human civilization or a population comes in contact with elephants. As large animals, the elephant maximus, or Asian elephant, requires large areas in order to live. Based on the loss of area and fragmentation, they are one of the most affected animals, contrary to smaller species. The issue is that this species of elephants happens to live in regions where there is dense human populations, growing at a really fast annual rate. Their size and food requirements possess a limitation to the living conditions they receive, therefore they cannot live among human-populated areas that consist of crops. The Asian elephant, unfortunately, is also used and traded. It is hunted for ivory, food, leather, and other products. Live animals are also removed from the wild in order to be used in forestry operations and also for ceremonial purposes. In this unit, we've been looking at the acronym HIPPO, which means habitat loss, invasive species, population growth, pollution, and overharvesting. All of these are external threats to an animal species. Habitat loss is the main threat Asian elephants are facing. This loss of habitat results in human-elephant conflicts. When these two species interact, conflict arises based on crop raiding, injuries and death to humans caused by elephants, and vice versa. Habitat loss also leads for further fragmentation, which results in isolation for the species. Isolation prevents the elephants to stick together and eventually makes them more vulnerable to threats. Moving on, technological advances such as roads and railroad tracks are also a cause for habitat loss and another factor that increases fragmentation. These new additions to our society cut off and limit the elephant's migratory routes, and the isolation that the elephant herds face is that while being unable to mix with other herds, they run the risk of inbreeding. Poaching, which is the illegal hunting or capturing of wild animals, is also a large threat. Regardless of imposing an international ban on ivory trading in 1989, there's still unregulated domestic ivory markets that's still inside this illegal international trade. Poaching may also lead to genetic threats given that the loss of a male's big tuskers can eventually lead to inbreeding, high juvenile mortality, and overall low breeding success. The loss of tuskers also reduces the probability that these males will mate, therefore exchanging their genes with females of different subpopulations. The capture of these creatures for domestic use is also a threat. Elephants possess a spirituality to them, and therefore sometimes are used for ceremonial purposes. Not only are they used for this, but they're also really cheap to hire for people's amusement and entertainment. Even a teacher of mine was able to get one for his daughter's birthday party when they lived back in India for a really cheap price. Things like this have a significant impact on the reduction of their numbers in the wild. Some of the arguments that can be made towards the preservation of the species is that by helping preserve the Asian elephant, you're helping protect nature itself. Asian elephants live and feed from grasses, but the issue directly affecting their population is the direct contact with humans and the loss of habitat, their land. By helping preserve more of these grassland, forests, and other type of biomes, you are helping preserve nature and also a species who is in large decline based on these factors that affect their living conditions. Some might argue that the Asian elephant is aesthetic and visually pleasing, and it's true, it actually helps the country's economy by attracting tourists, but we should also mention that they are also used for entertainment. The Asian elephants are sometimes hired for public events and for the amusement of people. The elephant is also considered a lucky charm, but in these areas where the elephant lives, it possesses a certain spirituality important for the residents of the area. We should also keep in mind that the Asian elephant is a keystone species, meaning that they play a crucial role in the ecosystem because they help to maintain forest clearing and they distribute the seeds of trees and shrubs according to Earth Day. Some facts from the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, to help the preservation of this species is that 1. A future for Asian elephants ensures a future for other species and wild spaces, so it represents the importance that this animal possesses in the food chain and the ecosystem. 2. Elephants are not only a cultural icon throughout Asia, they also help to maintain the integrity of forests and grassland habitats. 3. Indian elephants may spend up to 19 hours a day feeding, and they can produce about 220 pounds of dung per day while wandering around and are an area that can cover up to 125 square miles. This helps to disperse germinating seeds. So basically, the Asian elephant has a significant role, and it's really important for us to help preserve it. Their existence depends on us. Let's all come together and help the Asian elephant. Along with the species having the label of endangered comes a responsibility and initiative from some non-governmental and intergovernmental organizations. Among them, we can find WWF, which is the World Wildlife Fund, which is a charitable organization. We can also find the Earth Day Network and the Wildlife Conservation Society, which is a non-profit organization. All of these organizations provide a description about the species and its endangerment, and some of the own organizations' goals will be featured in the following images. So the images seen previously were information and pictures gathered from Wildlife Conservation Society's own page stating their goals. Similarly, we have the WWF, which also makes references to protecting elephant habitat, reducing human-elephant conflict, and securing healthy forests as their way to help the Asian elephant.